Hello everyone, welcome to the discussion of our subject, aspect of sustainable environment. Today we're going to discuss about space debris. Our member are Dimas Prianggoro, 136171038, Yahya Abdullah Azzam, 136171039, Yitro Aditya, 136171043, Epafras Ernesto Boanerges 136171047, and Janitra Dyandra Adya 136171067.
So, what is space debris? Space debris, or also known as space junk, space waste, space pollution, space trash, or space garbage, are objects in orbit around Earth created by humans that no longer serve any useful purpose. As of October 2019, the US Space Surveillance Network reported nearly 20,000 artificial objects in Earth's orbit, including 2,218 satellites. As of January 2019, more than 128 million pieces of debris with the size smaller than 1 centimeter, 900,000 pieces of debris with the size of 1 until 10 centimeter, and around 24,000 of pieces bigger than 10 centimeter were estimated to be in orbit around the Earth. They all travel at speeds up to 17,500 miles per hour, fast enough for a relatively small piece of orbital debris to damage a satellite or a spacecraft. Then, the next question is, where do space debris come from? They actually comes from many sources. The first one is astronaut lost items and garbage, especially during extravehicular activities or EVAs and their stay at ISS. Sometimes their utilities, tools, and personal belongings get lost from the astronauts' possession and went to their own orbits.
Okay, the next thing that's being the source of space debris are unused satellite and satellite fragmentation. We know that if a satellite lost their power, or we can say dead, and cannot do the task anymore, they will be just orbiting the Earth and being nothing but junk that could harm or collide with another satellite. As you can see in this picture on the left side, it is Evisat Earth Observation Satellite that have mass around 8,000 kg and right now being the most dangerous piece of space debris orbiting the Earth. And on the right side, it is the graph showing you increase of space debris because of unused satellite and satellite fragmentation. Next, the source are impact, collision, and explosion. Incidents that happen at the outer space, such as satellite impacts to another satellite, collision with another space debris, or even explosion, can produce unused debris or parts that eventually orbit themselves and become space junk. In this picture, it is Iridium Satellite LLC, one of the Iridium Company satellite that have a collision with a Russian satellite on February 2009. The collision appears to be the worst space debris in the history right now because the collision produced more than 500 space debris. Okay, on the next slide, you can see the distribution of space debris and the fragmentation debris like fuel and battery and panfakes have the biggest role to increase the space debris that orbiting around the Earth right now.
There are four main problems caused by space debris. First, space debris can impact and collide with spacecraft and satellites, damaging them and potentially destroying them. Secondly, the Kessler syndrome. The Kessler syndrome occurs when one debris hits a satellite, a spacecraft, or another debris. As a result, more debris will be created as they collide. The new debris will then possibly hit other objects and create more debris. And in the end, there will be endless amount of small debris created because of the initial collision. Thirdly, these space debris can also endanger astronauts while they are conducting EVAs or doing a spacewalk. Last but not least, the space debris can be misinterpreted as hostile missiles by radars. These are some few collision cases with space debris. This is the Mir aircraft. In this case, the solar panels are hit or collided with some space debris, damaging them and potentially rendering them useless. In this example, the chassis of French satellite or antenna is collided with debris, which is then identified as a debris of a rocket that has been launched a decade before.
Okay, so to overcome the problems that are already mentioned before, we propose 3 ways, each with their own solutions and their own implementation of technology. First is to prevent the generation of new debris. To overcome that, there are 2 solutions. First is to charge fees to the companies that want to launch their satellite in certain orbit, so they will not take an arbitrary orbit that could cause danger as a space debris in the future. And the second is to encourage or even regulate the planned satellite to have their own space debris mitigation system that will require them to have an end-of-life maneuver to either lower their orbits so that they could go inside the Earth and get burned, or to heighten their orbit so that they can go to graveyard orbit where there are no active satellite present within their vicinity. And the second way to overcome the problem is to reduce the existing debris. Actually, there have been non-successfully planned mission to overcome this problem, but it is being developed even until now. And there are 2 possible solutions. First is to use nets. So then the spacecraft, some spacecraft will get a net as their payload, and so the spacecraft will approach the space debris, and then the net will be deployed so that the debris will be catched and then have a safer orbit with the spacecraft. And another solution is to add plasma thruster manually to debris so they can have a chance of velocity to either make it to the Earth or to the graveyard orbit. And the last way to overcome the problem is to avoid the debris collision between the debris and the spacecraft. To do that, we can use 2 solutions. First is to utilize the ground stations on the Earth to do the space debris tracking missions, so that when all of them are tracked, we can know where they are going. And if they go somewhere, they soon just like another spacecraft orbit, it can be used to warn the spacecraft operator so they can do preventing or avoiding maneuver as possible. And second is to implement debris avoidance maneuver, especially in newer spacecraft, so that it could be easier to control should there be a space debris coming right through them.
Already discussed the problem caused by space debris, so we all know that space debris is dangerous and could harm spacecraft orbiting our Earth and even our astronaut. So we need to be aware of this problem and help develop technologies to prevent more space debris entering our orbits and to reduce the space debris that currently at our orbits. That we need our satellite to be safe up there so we can enjoy the benefit of the satellites for our future here in our Earth. And I think that's all for our group. Thank you for your attention and see you. Or not.